there, I'm Dee Clark. I'm the program manager here at the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center, and one of my primary jobs is our travel program, which is a fundraiser for the senior center. I'm here with Rosalie Richardson today. She's our current board chairperson, and she's traveled with us quite a bit.
I have.
So
I've done a lot of traveling.
So today we're going to talk about one of the very first trips that I did, and the first trip that Rosalie went on with me, and that was to Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Yes, that was a fun trip. It was a trip that my husband and I did together, and we had been to Albuquerque before, but this was really different because Dee is really good about having all kinds of fun things to do, which we did. Albuquerque itself was really great. In fact, I think that was the place I had to be drug out of a casino because I was making money, and the bus was ready to leave. and my husband came and told me I had to leave. I had to quit what I was doing. So I did, of course. And then when I got back to the bus, everybody cheered. It's really fun to go on these trips with everybody. You become very close to a lot of people you've never met before. And it's really a good group. And Dee, of course, makes it a lot of fun, and she's got everything so well planned out. We also went to Santa Fe. That was really good.
We did. Oh yeah, Santa Fe's a pretty little city, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah, and they have a chapel, small chapel there called Loretta Chapel, and the staircase, spiral staircase up into the choir loft of this chapel is an engineering marvel. And there's a whole story that goes along with that, but basically it's built without nails, and it's a wood spiral staircase, and you really have to just look the story up and read it, but it's fascinating.
One of the things I really liked in Santa Fe was the square in town, and they have all of the artists come in from all over, and they set up their blankets on the sidewalks and around in the square, and they sell all of their artwork and their food, and that was really a lot of fun. And I'm a person who likes to buy jewelry. Dee does too, though. Yeah. I have to let everybody know she likes jewelry as much as I do. And it was really fun. And then one of the things that was really exciting was the trip up the mountain in the gondola.
Oh, at Sandia Peak.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, we went from warm weather to snow. And I'm not a person who likes heights, but that gondola was very high off the ground. But it was really fun. We had a really good time. That was an excellent trip. We had a little excitement coming home. Because it had a huge storm and it washed out a bridge that we were supposed to go over, so we had to take a little detour. But as usual, the people that were driving the bus knew exactly where to go, and Dee, being Dee, had it all figured out what we needed to do, and we got home safely.
We did.
We did.
We did, yeah.
Another trip that I really liked was our trip to San Antonio, Texas. That was really great. That was one that Dee put together, and I had not been to San Antonio before, but it was wonderful. The only thing that I had a problem with, I'm not a person who likes spicy food, and I'm telling you, they don't cook anything down there that doesn't have spice in it. But it was really fun, and the river walk was beautiful.
It is.
We spent a lot of time down on the river walk. That was fun.
Yeah. I wanted to talk just briefly about Sky City outside of Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, yes.
It's an indigenous village on top of a mesa that's been there for, I think they said it is the oldest continuously inhabited city in the United States. And they built this city on top of the mesa because there were a lot of marauding tribes in the area, and it was safe for them to be up on top of this mesa. But they still live there. There's no electricity whatsoever, no plumbing. In fact, in the village square, there's a big dip in the rock. What they did was they built an open-air cistern so that they could water their horses. They even had the horses up there on top of this mesa. But it was really, really interesting.
And the trip up to the top of the mesa was interesting.
That was interesting too, yeah. There was no road up there until the 1960s when John Wayne filmed a movie in the area.
Yes, that's
and
right.
His production company built the road, but
it was not a very wide road.
No.
And we were in a nice big bus.
But yeah, that was the highlight, I think, for me of that trip.
Oh, it was. It was a really good trip.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of trips that are really, really fun to do.
Yeah.
One of the things that I remember from not too long ago, actually, it was in 2019, if I'm correct, we went to Costa Rica.
Yes.
We went down to Costa Rica, had a whole plane load full, and went to Costa Rica. That was fantastic. I'd never been down to that part of South America before. Been to Mexico, been to Canada, been all over the United States, but never into South America. And I wasn't, or Central America actually. I wasn't sure exactly how I would like that, but it was terrific. It was, the people there are so nice, and we had the best guide and the best bus driver ever.
They were fabulous.
They were fabulous. Yeah. They were. And everybody that we saw there was just so friendly. The people that lived there were so friendly and welcoming. They loved having us there. That was a good trip.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually started that trip. We flew into San Jose. And then the next day we got up and bussed east over to the Caribbean coast to the Tortuguero rainforest. Yeah. And we pull up to this place by the river, and they load us up in these little boats.
Yes.
And what did it take us? An hour and a half to get to the resort by river on these boats. Mm-hmm. And every time I think about those boats, it makes me think of the movie The African Queen. And that boat that's in that movie chugging up the river, that trip reminded me of that. So it was a little more rustic than a lot of our trips.
Yes, but it was really
fabulous.
Fun. And the people there were terrific. And when they say rainforest, they mean rainforest.
Yeah.
I don't think we were dry for 3 days.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun, and there's so much wildlife down there that none of us had ever seen before.
Right.
It was terrific. And we went out in the boats, rain or no rain. We had ponchos they gave us, but you were still soaked to the skin. And it was fantastic,
right.
just that part. And then when we left there, we went more into the central part of Costa Rica.
Right.
And
into the cloud forest.
The cloud forest and the volcanic area.
Right.
And I mentioned the bus driver. He was so fantastic because he took that bus places I didn't think anybody could ever go. But it was very safe and it was wonderful. And so many activities for everybody to do.
Right, right. There was a group of us that did zip lining in the cloud forest. That was a fun day. That was a really fun.
And we hiked into the forest and went over these bridges, many, many bridges, that were high over the canyons, sometimes 150, 200 feet down to the bottom. And the bridges were not necessarily stable. They had a tendency to swing. So you had to, I can remember telling everybody, don't walk on the outside of the bridge. Walk right down the center. It will keep it more steady. And it did. But they still swayed back and forth. It was exciting. It was fun. We had a really good time.
Yeah.
But we went to other places too. We went to one place that had all of the hot springs down the mountainside.
Right. That was in the volcanic region.
That was in the volcanic region.
Right.
And every place we went, the thing that I like about all the trips that we take, I make it sound like it's kind of rustic, but believe me, the accommodations are always Class A. They're really, really good.
Right.
And we have the best people managing all this and setting all this up, and it's just so much fun. That it's a way of traveling and not having to do any of the work, but do all of the fun stuff yourself.
Right.
Let somebody else like Dee do all the work.
At the end of that trip, we ended up on the West Coast, on the Pacific Ocean side at a beach resort.
Oh, that was
for
fun.
3 days. Yeah, that was beautiful.
It was. Yeah. And the water, I've been to places where in the Pacific where the water is warm, but nothing compared to that water.
Yeah.
That water was so warm, the ocean was so warm, it must have been at least 84, 85 degrees. The water was just wonderful. The beach was beautiful. The resort where we stayed was fantastic. Right. And everybody really enjoyed it. It was a good way to kind of cool down after all the excitement that we'd had on the prior week or 10 days. And then we headed back home.
Right.
Up and flew back in. What was the name of the airport that we left from? We didn't go back to San Jose. We went to another one on the West Coast and flew out of that one. And that one was really great because it was smaller.
It was a smaller airport.
And it was very easy to get everybody together and get them on board the plane. And we flew back to SeaTac. Right. It was fun. That was a good trip.
Yeah.
Loved it.
That was actually in, we left on January 31st of 2020.
2020, you're right.
Because when we got back, they started talking about COVID.
Yep.
Yep. And that's actually the last trip we've been on.
It is. That's the last one we've been able to take.
Right.
But we've done a lot of trips over the years. I started going with the senior center probably 12 years ago when my husband was still alive, and we traveled for a couple of years with the senior center. Prior to that, I had planned all the trips that we took because we traveled a lot, my husband and I, after we retired. And one of the reasons I really liked going with the senior center was I didn't have to do any of the work. I found that I got tired of planning all of the different trips all over the United States, and we went to Hawaii, and we went all over in Canada, and all over down through Mexico. And I found out after we started coming to the senior center that they traveled. And in looking at the travel, and I'm one who kind of checks the prices on everything, of course, and I found that I could go with the senior center cheaper than I could make it myself, than I could do it myself. And you get to meet so many nice people. There's always a really, really good crowd of people that go. And we have a really good time. Yeah. Dee makes it easy, believe me.
We make lifelong connections on these trips, don't we? And then, yeah, we have a, we have a group of people that no matter where we're going,
they're ready to go.
They're ready to go.
Yep.
And we all look out for each other, take care of each other. If you forgot something at home, chances are somebody else in our group has got what you need and willing to share.
And if nobody has it, our bus drivers, if we're on a bus, they're always willing to take us wherever we need to go to get what we need.
Yep.
It's very, very well done. And the day trips are the same way.
Right.
We've got a lot of trips that we've taken that are many days. There's been some trips that I haven't been on with you, that you've been on with other people, like back to New York. I know you liked that trip to New York.
Yes. In 2019, we did a New York City trip. We were there for 5 days, and yeah, so much fun. I'd love to go back again, because now I know how to get around the city. You know, you buy a multi-day hop-on, hop-off bus pass, and it takes you anywhere you want to go. And yeah,
I hope we get to do that one again. I'd like to take that trip.
Yeah,
I didn't get a chance to do that one, but that would be a really fun trip.
Yeah,
and I enjoy just the trips that we take that are shorter too. You know, we do a lot of trips that are overnight. Some of them are to the casinos. Some of them are if we go over to the coast and we see a play, or we go to some special event that they have where we can't get back in the same day, then we spend the night and come home the next day on the bus. And the nice thing about our trips that I like is that all you have to do is decide where you want to go. If you want to go along on the trips that we've got planned, you show up. Dee takes care of just about everything else, and you don't have to worry about anything. It's all been taken care of for you. You can go. You just have a really, really good time. Meet a lot of fun people. You come back home, and you haven't had to do any of the work. Just have all of the fun. So, this is a really good thing that we do here.
Yeah.
Even if it is fundraiser, because we always have to have fundraisers in order to keep our center alive and kicking. So.
Yeah. One of my favorite day trips that we do on a regular basis, like yearly or bi-yearly, is a Seattle Center. If they have a special exhibit, for instance, we went over for the final tour of the King Tut exhibit. We also went over when they had an exhibit of Pompeii there. Yeah. Also, just visiting the Chihuly Garden and Glasser.
Oh, the Chihuly Gardens is one of my
beautiful.
favorites.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. Or the Tulip Festival, Mount Vernon, every April. We've done that every year for quite a few years.
And that includes a really nice dinner.
Right.
That we go to before we head for the Tulip Festival.
Right. The Kiwanis over there puts on a nice salmon
they
dinner.
Have a salmon dinner.
We always do that before,
really good.
Before the tulip fields.
Well, and we've gone to some of the casinos that have ice skating. We had the ice skating groups that come in and they do a Christmas special. I can remember one where it was all of the ice skaters that performed in the Olympics, and they put on an ice show, and that would be an overnight trip.
Right.
But a lot of them are just day trips that we take, where we go over, like the Tulip Festival, that's a day trip. We go over early in the morning, spend the day over there, enjoy ourselves, and then we're home, and everybody has a really good time. I enjoy hosting the day trips. I don't host the longer trips. I'm not as good at that as Dee is. She's a lot better at making everything happen. But yeah, we have really, really a good time. And there's some other trips that we're thinking about that we're hoping to be able to, once we are able to open again. We'll have a lot of things planned. You've been thinking, and I've been thinking, we've been talking about ones that we'd like to do in the future. So.
Right. Yeah, so, yeah, just watch your newsletter for upcoming trips.
Yep. It's just the trips that we take, Dee is really, really good about keeping track of all the things that are possible and putting them together for us. So we're really looking forward. She's got a whole mirage of them in her brain about that we want to do in the future. So, but all the trips we've ever taken, I can't remember one that wasn't just fantastic. We all enjoyed it. And the people that go along, we have a lot of the same people that come to take as many trips as they possibly can.
Right, we do.
We do. We have a clutch group that, but
right.
Anybody who has never taken a trip with us, when we are doing trips again, I really recommend that you try it, because Dee makes it sound very simple. Believe me, it's not. It takes a lot of work to put all these together, but they're really fun. We really have a good time, and you get to meet a lot of new people that you've never met before. I can remember one trip that one individual would have liked there to be a romance. He tried very, very hard. But the subjects that he wanted to win over were having none of it. That brought a few chuckles on the bus.
It's been a couple of years since we've done a Viking river cruise in Europe, but you went with us, you and your sister.
Yes.
Went with us a few years ago when we did the Danube River from Budapest, Hungary, which is a beautiful city. I loved the time we spent there. And we cruised up to Nuremberg, Germany. We stopped in Vienna.
We did. Which
was wonderful. We stopped in Krems. Regensburg, Germany was one of my favorites on that trip.
What I really liked about the trip with the Viking River boat, there weren't a lot of people there. They have a limit, and so you get to know everyone really well, and you can't ask for better accommodations. And the staff on the boat and the food, everything was just Class A. But the nice thing was every time we stopped, there was some kind of an event or a tour that we could take that had a guide who spoke English, and we had headphones so that we could understand everything that was being explained on that. And then we always had a little bit of time on our own to explore the city that we were in. And there were always people, if you got turned around like I did frequently, I must not have a very good sense of direction. There was always someone that I could ask where the boat was. And they would direct you back down to get back on the boat. But then they offered other, there were other trips offered on the boat as well that we could take. There was one that was included, but then there were others that you could do as well. And it was just, the scenery was outstanding, and all of the old cities, like Vienna, and they're places you'd never see here in the United States because they're just hundreds and hundreds of years old. It was beautiful, and the castles we went through, it was terrific. I really enjoyed that, and so did my sister. I would go again in a heartbeat. And there are lots of different river cruises that I would like to try and talk Dee into. But yes, that was a really good trip to Europe, and the flight over was very good. it was long, but there was so much going on all the time, and oh my gosh, they fed us constantly. They were always bringing more food for us to eat on the plane. Those are trips that are really, really special, and we're hoping to have more of those, I think.
Right.
So.
Right. On that particular trip, we were in a set of locks, which there are a lot of set locks
on the Danube.
These,
there was.
Right, and on the Rhine also. But there was another Viking cruise ship in the locks with us. And it was funny because some of us on our ship got to talking to the people on the other ship to find out that there were people from Wenatchee on that other ship.
Oh my goodness, I did not know that.
Yes. In fact, one of our board members was on that ship. Yeah, we were in Vienna, and I heard somebody calling my name in the middle of the city, and I turn around and here's our board member on a different ship.
On a different ship.
Yeah, taking the exact same tour. So that was just a little fun.
Oh, yeah, that was really a great trip. I love the river boats.
Yeah,
they're really great. I personally prefer those over ocean liners.
Yes,
they get really big. Speaking of ocean liners, there was a trip that my daughter and I took with our group. That was to Alaska. We went on, was it the Princess line?
It could have been.
Done several. Because we've done several. And these are ones that back then, when we were traveling, we did pretty much every year. We did a trip to Alaska. That was really great. We had some unusual weather and wound up stopping in a fjord to outlast a storm and a lot of rain. And I learned that you can swim in a swimming pool when it's pouring rain, just like you can do it in the sunshine. So. But that was a good trip, and I'd like to see us do those again too. That was really fun, and we've done an awful lot. We've taken trips down through Oregon. We've taken bus trips down through Oregon. There were 2 or 3 day trips where we went to a couple of casinos and took in the Oregon coast, which is absolutely beautiful. The Oregon coast is fantastic.
Right.
That's a really good one, and we've done some trips on the Columbia River. Before we had to shut down, we did a boat trip on the Columbia River. That was an overnight. Yeah,
that was a paddle wheeler.
It was a paddle wheeler. Yes.
We had lunch on the river, and cruised down the river and back up.
Yeah, you can't beat the trips that we have here, and like I said before. All you have to do is sign up for them, pay your fare, come and enjoy, because the people that go on these don't have to do any of the hard work that's involved in putting them all together, and they're fantastic. Yeah. We have really, really good trips. Yeah. I enjoy them.
So we do everything from day trips right here in our own region to international.
We've taken in plays in Yakima. We've done a day trip to Yakima. Yes. We went to Seattle and had a dinner and a variety show in what was the name? Where were we? That was the one with
that was Tetro Zinzani.
Yes.
It's a cabaret.
Cabaret.
With a full 4-course dinner.
It was wonderful. It was so much fun. Everybody just loved that. Yeah. And I understand they're not doing that
They've anymore. Had to close.
They've had to
down.
Close, but yeah, there's always something. If there's anything fun to be found, Dee can find it, and we'll make a trip out of it.
Always open for suggestions. Also.
Oh yes. Anybody that has been on something they'd like to see again, and You know, even if they get the trains up and running so that we can go on train trips too, that would be something we might consider.
Right.
So,
Right.
we've had a good time.
Yeah.
It's always fun.
So we're going to talk just a little bit about our fundraising here at the Senior Center, why we do it and how it works. And Rosalie has been very instrumental over the years in our various fundraising events. We were doing an annual crab feed in June.
Mm-hmm.
We hope to eventually be able to resume that. We actually pack in 200 people
Yes.
in the Senior Center Social Hall for our crab feed. I order 700 pounds of crab, and we go through all of it.
We do.
In one evening.
We do.
One evening.
And the tickets sell out like
Right.
in 3 days.
Right.
If you don't get your ticket when it goes on sale, you better get your tickets because
Right.
it sells out. In fact, if we ever do get up and are able to do that like we have in the past, I plan to have 2 a year, not
Right.
just one.
Right.
Because we do sell out, and then we have a lot of unhappy people that would like to go to the crab feed, but they waited just a little too long to get their tickets.
Right.
And we do all kinds of different events that we put on different kinds of activities along with a meal, and those are fundraisers that we do. We are a true nonprofit here at the Wenatchee Valley Senior Activity Center, which means we get no funding from anybody that we haven't made on our own. We have to earn all of our own money.
Right.
And so that's the reason for our fundraisers, is to keep
Right.
this building going and to keep all the things available for the people that we've had in the past. And I have faith that that will be once again when all of COVID has been taken care of. But the fundraising is very important, because without the fundraising, we wouldn't have the center, basically.
Right.
That's what keeps us afloat. And I don't think a lot of people realize that the cost of operating our building and keeping all the activities going that we normally have is close to $1 million. It's just under $1 million. And that's all money we have to raise ourselves.
Right. And we do that by membership fees,
Membership fees, by
fundraising events,
selling ads in our live wire,
right? Corporate membership.
corporate memberships, and of course our thrift store.
Oh yes, our thrift store is a huge part of our income.
It is. It's a huge part of our income, and we really, really, really appreciate all the people who make use of our thrift store, and we
Right.
appreciate all the donations that everybody makes to our thrift store as well.
Right. Our travel program is also a fundraiser.
Our travel program is very instrumental in raising funds for us. And of course, we're more than happy to accept any donations anyone wants to make toward our budget as well.
Right.
And we have a lot of people that help us that way as well.
We have people that do that on an annual basis.
Yep.
Also, since we've been closed during the COVID pandemic, we've had a lot of people donate also.
Right.
People, when they pay their yearly membership dues, they'll tack on, a little extra.
Because they know that because we are currently not open for all these activities that we normally have, we have to find other ways to raise the money that we need to keep the building afloat.
Right.
And we do that in a lot of different ways. One of the things that I encourage people to do, if they are so inclined, if they're looking for something to do, is to become a volunteer. We have a lot of volunteers in our thrift store that help, as well as our staff, of course. But under normal circumstances, we rely on our volunteers a lot.
Right.
To come and help do all the things that are small staff is not able to do always. So we really appreciate that as well. But the fundraising is something that goes on constantly because, of course, it costs money to keep this large building going.
Right. Of course, one of our biggest fundraisers is our annual
craft
fair that we would have the second weekend of November every year, which we have not been able to do for 2 years. So
right.
Hopefully next year. And that's very difficult for us to do in the environment that we've been in the last 2 years because of the amount of people.
The close proximity of everyone. Everyone is just, we pack this place full, as well as
the
part of the school next door.
Right.
So yes, yeah, fundraising is what keeps us going, basically. But the fundraising that we do is always fun.
Yes.
You know, like the crab feed. I love crab. That's the only one that I won't work at, is the crab feed.
Because you want to be eating
crab. Exactly. But all the others that, you know, we have all kinds of different events that we put on that involve fun and involve entertainment and involve food. And we always have a really good turnout, our membership. But a lot of people, just general people in the community come to all those too because it's really fun.
Right.
If we have a dance, we have really good band, and we have a lot of fun.
We do. So. We do. Well, thank you for sitting down and talking.
You're very welcome. I love it. Dee and I enjoy each other.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun together.
We do. We do.
Certainly is.
She works really hard here at the center, and I really, really appreciate everything that she does. We have a wonderful staff here, I have to say. Makes my job as chair of the board of directors easy.